The glacial light of 27 computer monitors illuminated Vanessa's face as her finger hovered over the broadcast button. Her wedding ring caught the light, a mockery of promises made and shattered. On every screen, the company's internal livestream platform displayed the same feed. Her husband Connor, CEO of Horizon Digital, and his secretary Mia, tangled on the executive office sofa, unaware they were seconds away from becoming a corporate spectacle. "You can still walk away," whispered Aaron, the IT director and Vanessa's only confidant in this moment. "Once you press that button." Vanessa's eyes hardened, her mind replaying the years of gaslighting, of feeling crazy for her suspicions while the company he'd built with her money thrived. "They took everything from me," she said, voice steady despite the earthquake in her chest. "Now I take it all back." She pressed the button. A chime echoed throughout the building as 147 computers simultaneously received the notification. Mandatory company announcement from the CEO's office. Live now. 3 months earlier. To 5 years of Horizon Digital. Connor raised his glass, his charismatic smile drawing everyone's attention in the crowded restaurant. "And to my brilliant wife, without whom none of this would exist." Vanessa smiled, accepting the toast with practiced grace. The applause from their employees felt genuine, and perhaps for many of them, it was. Most didn't know that Vanessa's family money had funded Connor's dream when no investor would touch it, or that her name was conspicuously absent from any ownership documents. What had started as a generous act of love had slowly morphed into something else, something that gnawed at her insecurities during sleepless nights. She'd been an equal partner in the vision, yet somehow found herself relegated to supportive spouse as the company grew. "You looked beautiful tonight," Connor said later as they entered their modernist home in the hills overlooking the city. He loosened his tie, kicked off his shoes by the door. Everyone was impressed. "By what?" Vanessa asked, slipping off her heels. "I barely said 3 words. "That's the beauty of it," he replied, pouring himself a nightcap. "You don't need to. Your presence speaks volumes." She watched him from across their open-concept living room, this man she'd married 7 years ago. Still handsome at 38, with salt and pepper temples that only enhanced his executive appearance. Still capable of making her feel both essential and invisible in the same breath. "Connor," she said carefully, "I've been thinking about coming back to work at Horizon." His smile flickered for just a moment before returning. "Sweetheart, we've talked about this. The foundation work you do is so important. The foundation is 3 charity events a year. It's not enough for me anymore. What would you even do at Horizon?" His tone remained light, but she caught the edge beneath it. "I have an MBA from Stanford. I helped write our original business plan. I could." "Vanessa." He crossed the room, set his drink down, and took her hands in his. "You know how office politics work. If I bring my wife in at an executive level, everyone will resent you. They'll think you didn't earn it." "But I did earn it," she said quietly. "I've earned it more than anyone." He kissed her forehead. "I know that. But perception matters in business." The conversation ended there, as it always did. Later, as Connor slept beside her, Vanessa stared at the ceiling, unable to silence the voice inside her that whispered she was losing something precious, her sense of self, her purpose, her husband. Or maybe she'd already lost him. The first time Vanessa met Mia Chun was at the company's quarterly review meeting. Connor had insisted Vanessa attend, to show the team how much we value their work, though she suspected it was to pacify her after their conversation about her returning to work. "Mrs. Hayes." Mia had greeted her with a firm handshake. "It's an honor to finally meet you. Connor speaks so highly of you." At 30, Mia possessed the kind of effortless confidence that commanded respect. Her simple black dress and minimal jewelry projected professionalism, while her quick intelligence shone through in every comment during the meeting. Vanessa found herself both admiring and envying the younger woman's clear place in Connor's professional world, a world that had once included her. "Mia's been incredible," Connor told Vanessa over dinner that night. "Since I hired her 6 months ago, she's completely transformed our operations. I don't know how I managed without her." 6 months. Vanessa set down her fork. You never mentioned hiring a new executive assistant. Didn't I? Connor looked genuinely surprised. It must have slipped my mind with the London expansion. Anyway, she's technically my chief of staff now. The board approved the promotion last month. Vanessa took a slow sip of wine. That was fast. When you find exceptional talent, you don't hesitate. Connor's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, tapped out a quick reply.
Sorry.
That's Mia. We're finalizing the Singapore deal tonight. On a Saturday? The global market doesn't observe weekends, sweetheart. He smiled, but his attention remained on his phone. This deal could double our valuation. Vanessa watched him, a strange hollowness expanding in her chest. Should I wait up? No need, he said, still typing. Might be a late one. It became a pattern over the next 2 months. Late nights at the office. International calls that couldn't wait until morning. Weekend work sessions. Each time, Mia's name wove through his explanations, a thread Vanessa couldn't ignore but couldn't quite pull without seeming paranoid. She might have continued doubting herself if not for the company gala in early summer. You're overthinking this, said Diane, Vanessa's oldest friend, as they prepared for the event. Connor's always been a workaholic. It's different now, Vanessa insisted, applying lipstick with more force than necessary. It's like he's built a whole life I'm not part of. Diane sighed. Have you found anything concrete? Messages? Suspicious charges? No, but then stop torturing yourself. Go to this gala, be the gorgeous, accomplished woman you are, and remind yourself why Connor married you in the first place. The ballroom of the Four Seasons gleamed with tasteful opulence as Horizon Digital celebrated its most successful quarter to date. Vanessa moved through the crowd in a burgundy gown, accepting congratulations for her husband's accomplishments with practiced grace. Connor was in his element, commanding attention from investors and employees alike. Then she saw them together. Nothing overtly inappropriate. Connor and Mia, heads bent close in conversation on the periphery of the dance floor. But it was the intimacy that struck Vanessa. The comfortable lean of their bodies toward each other, the knowing smile they shared at some private joke, the casual brush of his hand against Mia's waist as he guided her toward the bar. Vanessa recognized it because it was how Connor used to be with her in the early days of their relationship. The realization hit her with physical force. Mrs. Hayes? A waiter appeared at her elbow. Are you all right? You look pale. I'm fine, she managed. Just need some air. She retreated to the ladies' room, locked herself in a stall, and breathed deeply until the room stopped spinning. When she emerged, Mia was at the sink, reapplying her lipstick. Vanessa. There you are, Mia said warmly. Connor's looking for you. The chairman wants a photo with both of you. Vanessa studied the younger woman, searching for signs of guilt or deception. But Mia's expression remained open, friendly. How do you like working with my husband? Vanessa asked suddenly. Mia's smile dimmed slightly, replaced by something more thoughtful. Connor is brilliant, demanding but inspiring. The best boss I've ever had. Just your boss. The question hung between them. Mia's eyes widened fractionally before she recovered. Of course. What else would he be? Vanessa forced a laugh. Just checking. Some executives can blur professional boundaries. Not Connor, Mia said firmly. He's completely professional. Their eyes met in the mirror. Neither woman looked away. I should go find him, Vanessa finally said. Of course. Mia stepped aside. By the way, I love your foundation's work. Perhaps we could meet for coffee sometime? I have some ideas for expanding your reach. The offer was so unexpected, so seemingly genuine, that Vanessa faltered. I'd like that. As she rejoined the party, Vanessa felt more confused than ever. Either Mia was an exceptional actress, or Vanessa was indeed becoming the paranoid, insecure wife she despised. Later that night, as Connor showered, his phone lit up on the nightstand. Vanessa had never been the type to snoop, had always believed trust was fundamental to their marriage. But something propelled her across the room. The message preview showed only ** from Mia Chen. Thanks for tonight. The view was worth asterisk. The rest was hidden. Vanessa's hand hovered over the phone. One swipe and she'd know. One swipe and everything might change. The shower turned off. She retreated, heart pounding. Anything important? Connor asked minutes later, noticing his phone's notification light. I didn't look, Vanessa replied, watching his face carefully. Probably Mia with the final numbers from tonight's pledges, he said easily, checking the message. His expression revealed nothing as he set the phone down and slipped into bed beside her. That night, as Connor slept, Vanessa made a decision. She would either find proof or put her suspicions to rest permanently. Either way, the limbo of uncertainty had to end. The next morning, she called Aaron Walsh. Aaron had been Horizon's IT director from the beginning, one of the few early employees who remembered Vanessa's involvement in founding the company. They'd maintained a friendship even as Vanessa's role diminished. I need your help, Vanessa said when they met for coffee far from the office. And it needs to stay between us. Aaron studied her carefully. This sounds serious. I think Connor's having an affair with Mia. To Aaron's credit, she didn't immediately dismiss the notion. What makes you think so? Vanessa laid out the circumstantial evidence, the late nights, the changes in Connor's behavior, the intimacy she'd witnessed at the gala. It's not much to go on, Aaron said gently. Connor's always worked crazy hours, especially before major deals. I know how it sounds. That's why I need to be sure. Vanessa leaned forward. Can you access his company communications? Emails, messages. Aaron's expression shifted from sympathy to alarm. Vanessa, that's not just unethical, it's illegal. I could lose my job, face charges. I'm not asking for copies. Just tell me if there's anything I should know. I can't. Aaron shook her head firmly. But I can tell you this. Mia's been coming in early and staying late almost every day. Same as Connor. Often they're the only two in the executive suite. That doesn't prove anything. No, Aaron agreed. But the suite has security cameras. For theft prevention. Vanessa's heart raced. Can you access those feeds? I shouldn't. Aaron hesitated. But the system backs up to our secure server. If someone had the admin password, she scribbled something on a napkin and slid it across the table. I didn't give you this, she said. And if anyone asks, this conversation never happened. Vanessa waited 3 days before using the password, days filled with Connor's increasingly thin excuses and distant behavior. When he announced he needed to work late, again on a Friday night, she made her move. The security system was surprisingly easy to access from their home computer. The executive suite had 4 cameras covering different angles. Vanessa selected the one overlooking Connor's office and the adjacent seating area. For 2 hours, nothing happened. Connor worked at his desk while Mia came and went with documents and coffee. Everything seemed professional, mundane. Vanessa was about to log off, feeling a mixture of relief and foolishness, when the atmosphere in the office changed. It was subtle at first. Mia lingering longer at Connor's desk, Connor's posture relaxing as he leaned back in his chair, loosening his tie. They moved to the sofa with a bottle of whiskey and 2 glasses. Still nothing explicitly inappropriate, just colleagues unwinding after hours. But then Connor said something that made Mia laugh, and he reached out to tuck a strand of hair behind her ear, an unmistakably intimate gesture. Vanessa's stomach clenched as she watched Mia lean into the touch, as Connor's hand lingered against her cheek. No longer was there any professional pretense as they moved toward each other. Vanessa closed the laptop before she could see more. The evidence she'd sought now burned in her mind, undeniable. Her marriage, she realized, had been over for longer than she'd known. What happened next would determine whether she walked away with her dignity or took back what was rightfully hers. There's something liberating about the moment you stop lying to yourself, Vanessa told Diane over lunch the following week. It's like I've been holding my breath for years, and now I can finally exhale. Diane studied her friend with concern. You seem calm. Too calm. What's the alternative? Hysterics? Confronting him so he can gaslight me into thinking I misunderstood what I saw with my own eyes. Most women would at least consider divorce attorneys. Vanessa smiled thinly. Oh, I've considered them. But there's a problem. She explained the reality of her situation, how Connor had insulated himself legally from the beginning, how the money she'd invested in Horizon Digital had been structured as a gift rather than an investment, how prenuptial agreements and corporate structures had gradually separated her from what should have been partly hers. He's been planning this for years, Vanessa concluded, building his empire with my money, then making sure I couldn't claim my share when he moved on. That's diabolical, Diane whispered. Surely a good lawyer could fight this? Perhaps. But it would be years of litigation, my word against his. And meanwhile, he'd still be in control of everything. So what will you do? Vanessa's expression hardened. Something he won't expect. The plan crystallized over the next week as Vanessa quietly gathered information. Connor, emboldened by her apparent obliviousness, grew less careful. Late nights became overnight trips. Transparent lies about work emergencies multiplied. I need another favor, Vanessa told Aaron when they met again in a quiet cafe across town. Aaron looked uncomfortable. Vanessa, I don't think. It's not what you think. Vanessa leaned forward. I need to understand the company's internal communications system better. The one you use for announcements and town halls. The broadcast platform? Aaron frowned. Why? I'm organizing a surprise for the company's anniversary next month. Something from the First Lady of Horizon, as everyone seems to call me. The lie came easily, smoothed by weeks of betrayal. Aaron's suspicion faded, replaced by enthusiasm for what she assumed was a morale-boosting initiative. It's actually a great system, she explained. We can push video announcements to every computer in the company simultaneously. Mandatory viewing. Screens automatically open the feed and volume activates. We use it for quarterly announcements, emergency protocols. And it works remotely? I could set something up in advance. With admin access, yes. Aaron hesitated. But you'd need Connor's approval for company-wide broadcasts. Vanessa smiled. Let me worry about that part. As Aaron detailed the technical aspects, Vanessa mentally refined her plan. Timing would be crucial. She needed to be certain, needed to catch them in a moment that couldn't be explained away. She began tracking their patterns methodically. Connor and Mia were careful, their most intimate moments reserved for late evenings when the office was empty. But they had grown complacent, assuming no one was watching. Every Friday, they stayed latest of all. The cleaning crew didn't come until 10 p.m. The security guard made rounds on the half-hour. Between 8:30 and 10 o'clock, the executive floor was their private domain. Vanessa needed just one more piece to complete her plan. The board meeting next Friday, she mentioned casually over breakfast. Will you be home for dinner after? Connor barely looked up from his phone.
No chance.
Those meetings run late, and then there's always the dinner after. The dinner's not mandatory, is it? I thought we could celebrate our anniversary a few days early. I have reservations at Maison. That got his attention. Our anniversary is next month. I know, but you'll be in Tokyo then. Remember? Right. He looked momentarily guilty. I'm sorry, but the board dinner is non-negotiable. Investors flying in from Europe, potential acquisition talks. I understand. Vanessa sipped her coffee. Another time. What she understood, what Connor didn't realize she knew, was that there was no board dinner. The meeting would end by 6 p.m., according to the schedule Aaron had shared with her. The European investors had canceled days ago. Friday night would be her moment. The Horizon Digital offices occupied the top 3 floors of a gleaming downtown tower. The executive suite on the uppermost floor featured floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, a testament to Connor's success and his ego. At 7 p.m. that Friday, while Connor believed she was at a charity function, Vanessa swiped her rarely used access card and entered the building. She nodded to the security guard, who recognized her as the founder's wife. Evening, Mrs. Hayes. Special occasion. Surprising Connor after his meeting, she said with a practiced smile. Don't tell him I'm coming up. Your secret's safe with me. The executive floor was deserted except for the sounds coming from Connor's office. Low music, murmured conversation, occasional laughter. Vanessa moved silently through the darkened reception area to the small broadcasting control room adjacent to the conference facilities. The system was exactly as Aaron had described. Vanessa logged in with the administrator credentials, brought up the security camera feed from Connor's office, and connected it to the broadcast platform. Her finger hovered over the button that would send whatever happened next to every computer in the company. But she waited. Needed absolute certainty. Needed a moment that couldn't be misconstrued. On the monitor, Connor and Mia were sharing the sofa, closer than colleagues would sit, glasses of whiskey in hand. Connor's jacket was draped over his chair, Mia's heels discarded on the floor. Vanessa watched as Connor brushed his hand against Mia's cheek, as Mia leaned into his touch. Watched as their faces drew closer, as 7 years of marriage dissolved in the space between their lips. She pressed the button. A system notification flashed. Broadcast initiated, company-wide. Then she called Aaron. "It's happening," she said when Aaron answered.
"Now."
"Jesus, Vanessa, what did you do?" Aaron's voice was panicked. "I'm still at the office. People's screens are lighting up everywhere."
"Good.
"Make sure the feed stays live. I'm going in." "Vanessa, don't." She ended the call and straightened her spine. The time for hiding was over. Vanessa pushed open the door to Connor's office with controlled force. The heavy glass swung wide, crashing against the wall with a sound that made Connor and Mia spring apart on the sofa. "Vanessa." Connor's face registered shock, then confusion. "What are you doing here?" "Surprising my husband," she said, her voice steady despite the thundering in her chest. "Though it seems I'm the one who's surprised." Mia scrambled to slip her shoes back on, smoothing her rumpled blouse. "Mrs. Hayes, this isn't." "Save it." Vanessa held up her hand. "I've watched this show for weeks. Tonight's episode is just the season finale." Connor stood, straightening his tie in a reflexive gesture. "Vanessa, you're overreacting. Mia and I were working late having a drink. Nothing happened." "Nothing happened," Vanessa repeated, a bitter laugh escaping her. "That's what you're going with. Whatever you think you saw." "I saw exactly what's been happening in this office every Friday night for months," she cut in. "And so did everyone else." Connor's brow furrowed. "What are you talking about?" Vanessa pointed to the small camera in the corner of the ceiling. "Wave to the company, Connor. All 147 employees. They're watching live." His face drained of color as understanding dawned. "You didn't." "I did." She held up her phone, showing the same live feed that was broadcasting to every computer in the building. "Technology is remarkable, isn't it? You built a system where the CEO could address everyone simultaneously with the push of a button. Very efficient." Mia's hand flew to her mouth. "Oh, God." Connor lunged for his desk, frantically typing at his computer. "How do I stop this? How do I?" He froze, seeing the broadcast playing on his own screen, the feedback loop creating an eerie echo in the room. "You can't stop it," Vanessa said calmly. "Only the administrator who initiated the broadcast can end it. And right now, that's me." "This is insane," Connor hissed, advancing toward her. "You've lost your mind. Do you have any idea what you've done to this company? To our reputation." "Our reputation?" Vanessa didn't back away. "That's what concerns you? Not that you've been screwing your secretary in the office you built with my money?" Mia flinched at the crude language from the normally composed Vanessa. "Chief of Staff," Connor corrected automatically, then seemed to realize his error. "This is not the time, Vanessa. End the broadcast, and we can discuss this like adults." "Like we discussed my role in the company? Like we discussed how you used my inheritance to fund your dream, then systematically pushed me out?" Her voice remained level, but her eyes blazed. "No, Connor. This isn't a discussion. This is a reckoning." She turned to Mia, who stood frozen beside the sofa. "Did he tell you how he started Horizon? How no investor would touch his revolutionary idea until I wrote a check for $2 million. My family money. The inheritance he convinced me to access early because we were building our future together?" Mia's eyes darted between them. "Connor said he secured early angel funding." "He did." "From his angel of a wife." Vanessa's smile was razor-sharp. Did he mention the prenuptial agreement he insisted upon? The one where any business assets acquired during the marriage remain with the founding partner, which mysteriously didn't include me, despite my investment. Vanessa, enough. Connor slammed his hand on the desk. This is between us. Not anymore. She gestured to the camera. Now it's between us and everyone who works for you. Everyone who respected you. Everyone who believed the myth of Connor Hayes, self-made tech visionary. On her phone, Vanessa could see messages flooding the company chat system as employees reacted in real time. Shock. Disgust. Memes already being created. The company's carefully cultivated image unraveling with each passing second. The board will never stand for this, Connor said, his voice dropping to a threatening whisper. You'll be sued for corporate sabotage, for privacy violations. I'll make sure you walk away with nothing. I already have nothing, Vanessa replied. You made sure of that years ago. But now neither do you. She turned to the camera, addressing the invisible audience directly. To the employees of Horizon Digital, I apologize for the unconventional nature of this announcement. Consider it my resignation as the silent partner in this company, a position I never wanted but was forced into. For those of you who've been here since the beginning, you know my contribution. For the rest, now you know too. Connor lunged for her phone, but Vanessa sidestepped him easily. One more thing, she continued. Check your emails. You'll find documents detailing how the company was actually funded, along with evidence of financial irregularities I've documented over the past 3 weeks. Nothing illegal. Connor's too smart for that, but certainly enough to interest both the board and the business press. You're bluffing, Connor snarled, though uncertainty flashed in his eyes. Am I? Vanessa raised an eyebrow. You forgot that I have access to our home office, where you keep your backup drives. Careless, really. She watched as Connor's face contorted with the realization that she might actually have found something damaging. It didn't matter whether she had or not. The seed of doubt was planted, and in the corporate world, perception was reality. End this broadcast, he demanded, desperation edging into his voice. We can work something out. We're beyond that, Connor. Mia finally found her voice. Please, Vanessa. This isn't just hurting Connor. It's hurting everyone who works here. People's livelihoods are at stake. You should have thought of that before you became involved with a married man, Vanessa replied, but something in Mia's plea reached her. The other employees were collateral damage in a war not of their making. She pressed the button on her phone, ending the broadcast. The sudden silence in the room felt heavier than any sound. It's done, she said. The show's over. Connor's relief was palpable but short-lived. The recording, however, has been saved to the company server, Vanessa continued. Whether it becomes public depends entirely on what happens next. What do you want? Connor asked, defeat creeping into his posture. Vanessa looked between her husband and his lover, these two people who had betrayed her in the most intimate way possible. In that moment, she realized that what she wanted most wasn't revenge. It was freedom. 40% of the company, she said. Retroactive to founding. Full voting rights on the board. Public acknowledgement of my role as co-founder. That's impossible, Connor protested. The corporate structure can be amended. You managed to write me out. You can write me back in. Vanessa's tone brooked no argument. Alternative options include me taking this to every tech publication in the country, or simply playing the recording at the next shareholders meeting. Your choice. Connor's jaw worked silently, calculations running behind his eyes. You have until Monday morning to decide, Vanessa said, turning to leave. Oh, and Connor? I want the house, too. As she walked toward the door, Mia called after her. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. Vanessa paused, not turning around. It's worth nothing. But neither is he, so I suppose you deserve each other. With that, she left the office where her husband had betrayed her, her head high, her step lighter than it had been in years. 1 year later. And with that, I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Horizon Digital's co-founder and newly appointed Chief Innovation Officer, Vanessa Hayes. The applause was genuine as Vanessa took the stage at the Women in Tech conference. At 40, She radiated a confidence that had been dormant for years, now reclaimed and reinvented. "Thank you," she began, surveying the room of aspiring and established female entrepreneurs. "My path to this podium has been unconventional." A knowing ripple of laughter moved through the audience. The story of Horizon Digital's dramatic boardroom shakeup had become something of a legend in Silicon Valley, though the full video had never leaked, thanks to generous severance packages and ironclad NDAs. Many of you have heard rumors about how I reclaimed my place at the company I helped create. Some of those rumors might even be true. Another laugh. But that's not the story I want to tell today. I want to talk about power. How easily we can give it away, how hard we must sometimes fight to take it back, and how transformative it can be when we finally hold it in our own hands. From the third row, Aaron gave her an encouraging nod. Their friendship had deepened during the corporate restructuring that followed the broadcast, as it had come to be known internally. Aaron now headed Horizon's cybersecurity division, a promotion Vanessa had insisted upon during negotiations. "A wise woman once told me that we teach people how to treat us," Vanessa continued. "For years, I taught the world, and myself, that my contributions were secondary, that my voice mattered less, that the space I occupied should be small and unobtrusive." She paused, remembering the woman she had been just a year ago. How lost she had felt. How alone. "I'm here to tell you that reclaiming your power isn't always elegant. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it burns bridges. Sometimes it makes you the villain in someone else's story." Her gaze swept across the room, meeting the eyes of women who nodded in silent understanding. "But here's what I've learned. Being someone else's villain is better than being your own ghost." After her speech, during the networking reception, a young entrepreneur approached her. "Ms. Hayes, your talk was incredible," the woman said. "But I have to ask, was it worth it? The public scandal, the media attention. Would you do it again?" Vanessa considered the question seriously. The aftermath of her confrontation had been brutal in many ways. The business press had been merciless. Social media had dissected every aspect of the triangle. Her privacy had been invaded countless times. But the company had survived, thrived even under new leadership. Connor had eventually accepted her terms, recognizing that his alternatives were far worse. He'd moved to the London office, taking Mia with him. The distance suited them all. "I don't recommend my exact methods," Vanessa finally answered with a smile. "But I absolutely recommend claiming what's yours. Whatever that looks like for you." Later that evening, Vanessa stood on the balcony of her penthouse apartment, watching the city lights below. She had kept the house in the hills as negotiated, but had chosen to sell it. Too many memories, too much of the old Vanessa in those walls. This new space, 30 stories above the streets, felt right for her reinvented self. Open, breathtaking, slightly intimidating. Her phone buzzed with a text from Diane. Asterisk, "Saw your speech online. You were brilliant. Dinner tomorrow? Asterisk." Vanessa smiled and typed back. Asterisk, "Absolutely. The usual place? Asterisk." As she set her phone down, she reflected on the journey of the past year. The pain hadn't disappeared entirely. Betrayal left scars that would always be visible if you knew where to look. But they no longer ached with every movement. What remained was a hard-won wisdom and a certainty about who she was. Not Connor's wife. Not the woman behind the man. But Vanessa Hayes in her own right. Architect of her own redemption. She raised her wine glass to the night sky in a silent toast. To endings that became beginnings. To broken things that, when reassembled, were stronger at the fracture points. To the woman she had become when she'd finally had enough. Some might call what she did revenge. Vanessa preferred to think of it as justice, messy, imperfect, but ultimately necessary. The broadcast had lasted less than 15 minutes. The consequences would echo for a lifetime, and she wouldn't change a single second of it.
And that wraps up today's story. Now we want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments, and let's see how far these stories reach. If this story moved you or gave you chills, give it a like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories. One last thing, rate the story from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your feedback helps us bring you even better ones next time. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you being part of this storytelling journey.